ladies and gentlemen, we are back and we're early. We had to come early because this is a big week. Big week, chapter 1095, a world where you would be better off dead. That's the chapter title. We're here reviewing One Piece. I'm here with the gang. We got Jazz, we got Verson. I always start off with Jazz, so I'm gonna start off with Verson this week. Verson, how you doing this week, brother?
Doing pretty good. A lot of moving and shaking going on. Excited to read this chapter, especially because it has a banger title. It's been the best title we've had in a minute.
Look, from title wise, you're definitely right. Not only is this chapter a good cover spread, I got to give it to y'all's guy Buggy, even though I'm part of the Buggy Flame group. I like the cover spread with Buggy. The title was great, but I just got to say before we get cracking, Oda, you pulled the rug right over our eyes again. Like every time I think you're gonna zig, you zag, and you show why One Piece is like one of the best written stories ever. All right, Jazz, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. After a week of dodging spoilers like a madman, we're here. Spoiler free, read the chapter, loved every single bit of it.
This guy, man, literally, I messaged him. I go, Jazz, you read the spoiler? He's like, no, don't send him either. Keep him away. I was like, whoa, wasn't gonna send him. I was just asking, like, because that's like when, like, someone has like some extracurricular activities, like a beer or like a dubs, and they're like, hey, man, you want to take a hit? No, peer pressure, no. Get away. That's what it felt like. Yeah, like calm down. But look, I'm gonna keep it a bean. I am a spoiler addict. I will be on OP Spoilers page at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, looking to see when the new spoilers drop. And I gotta say, this week was fire. This week's spoiler, it was crazy. Because when you see a spoiler, sometimes you're like, all right, is this what it's gonna be? But when you saw the words God Valley, I was like, whoa, we're going there.
See, I saw God Valley and I immediately had to block everything. It wasn't even a God Valley chapter, but I was like, based on that fact, I don't know what's about to happen. So everything getting muted, everything getting blocked.
Tis. Did you read the spoilers version?
No, I'm trying to say as spoiler free as possible. And if I didn't do this podcast, I'd be waiting for officials. So,
all right, fair enough.
I will say this chapter is the most jam-packed we've had in a minute for a lot of stuff that people crave. It's feeling like real reverie hours, which is nice. Real quick, by the way, about the cover page, I think I've only just realized looking at this cover page right now. Buggy's super sensitive about his nose, but because of his fruit, he could literally take that shit off at any point in time and put it in his pocket, and no one would ever know because he actually wasn't that famous.
Yep, that's a big fact. True. But I think even though he's self-conscious about it, I think he loves his red nose. Like, I think that's why it hurts him even more. Like, I feel like Shanks making fun of him is like, bro, I'm really proud of my nose. You're my best friend, and you made fun of it. Fuck you. And he gained like some trauma from it. At least that's how I view it.
Yeah. Somebody pointed out that Buggy either learned about a circus on Roger's ship because they took him to one, and that's what he decided to build himself off of, or Buggy is literally the first time that clowns have ever existed in One Piece, and he's making what clowns are as he goes along.
Holy shit!
Because he grew up. Yeah, like because he grew up not in a circus or whatever. He grew up on
Roger's ship. Yeah, true.
So either he made the word clown, and that is what we have now, or Roger and them be going to circuses, and he's like, I love clowns. Clowns are awesome. Just like Kaku with the giraffe.
Either way, it's pretty fire. But all right, let's get in because Verson is right. This is a jam-packed chapter. There, we'll probably end up making 2 videos off of this because of the theories and whatnot. But just to go over it, because we do it at the end where we place the bets, we'll go over the winners in the beginning. Hey, Jazz, look, and this is more of a hit for you than last week because last week was kind of a hit. This week you hit on last week's bet and this past bet, like the Sanji thing you bet on. You was a chapter late, so you hit there, and you hit with me on the Kuma backstory. Gotta pat yourself on the back there.
I'm gonna give myself a 0.5. I said the Strats would step up.
You did? Wait. Give yourself a pat on the back as well. That did happen too.
Because Frankie stepped the fuck up this chapter.
He did.
Someone else tried, but we'll get to it.
So gotta just say we hit our bets this week. and I'm proud of us. Let's keep it going. Again, if you want to participate, I'm telling y'all, we're giving away prizes at the end of the year. Leave your bets in the comments, and whoever hits the most will get a prize. Second place will get a prize, and even third place. I'm feeling generous. It's almost to the Christmas season. So, and I really enjoy this, bringing bets into One Piece. I think it's very interesting. No one else is doing that, so I wanna make that our, if we have a shtick, that's our shtick.
I feel like bets is a better way than just doing theories, because sometimes people get butthurt and their theories don't come true. But it's like a bet, it's 50-50. You might hit and you might not. So I feel like it's a little better of a like.
People put their whole souls in the theories.
Bro, and when they're wrong, they get heartbroken.
Yeah, whenever you like, if you ride too hard for a theory, it's like somebody killed your dog, dude. It's pretty bad.
I realized early on into One Piece that it was like, hey man, you can't really ride super hard for these theories. Like, don't get it twisted. I've ridden on the theory Lightning Bolt, but I crashed and burned, and I was like, all right, it can't be doing this.
Right?
Can't be doing this.
Like, I'll throw out a theory or whatever, and oftentimes I'll go a little too much into like symbolism or whatever. But ultimately, that's just me overanalyzing or waxing poetic about a story I love. And if I don't get a theory, as long as it was at the same level or better, I'm all good. I trust the master. He knows what to do.
I know for a fact. Shout out to our guy Christian. He'll be coming back on this pod with us. Talk to him today. He wrote the ZKK theory hard, boy, and I told him about that. He was so sad. But that's what I'm talking about. Riding theories hard.
Before we get into the chapter, if I might say about ZKK, I mean, I felt like, even as crazy as it was, I felt like the craziest part about it was they had evidence to at least
they did have proof.
Like, they had a lot of proof. But it's just narratively it didn't make sense at the time. But
he had me falling for it. And honestly, I'll say this. If Film Red, okay, so I never thought Zoro was going to kill Kaido, but I definitely thought we would have dived deeper into the whole Zoro side situation. Yeah, if Film Red doesn't happen, I feel like they're going to be even more butthurt because ZKK would have been stronger. Like, I feel like it would have got super strong on it. But because Film Red, we cut out a lot of the Zoro shit that was supposed to happen.
The only problem I ever had with ZKK is I don't know in exactly what context could have put that situation to come to fruition. Because if Luffy's conscious, he's never letting his crewmate just execute anyone.
Yeah, that's where I was like, I didn't understand how it was going to happen. Some people were saying that Zoro would have had a first mate moment, like him and Law talking to Luffy of, we can't just beat him up, he's a Yonko type situation. But I didn't know if that was going to I think it ended up happening the way it was supposed to. So, like, I'm okay with how Kaido went out. But with that being said, let's jump into it. The way we do this, we do a brief summary of the chapter, and then we dive into the themes. And as y'all can tell, we're pretty chatty tonight, so the themes we'll probably be diving into it deep, and then we finish with our bets. So this chapter starts off with us seeing the Gorosei member of Jay Garcia. He's basically telling people, like, y'all chill out, don't worry, Marines. I'm not tripping on this whole Bonnie shit. He pulls out the sword, essentially, was like, I could have dodged, wipes the blood off, like, this ain't no shit. Like, that shit evaporates. He hits Sanji with an eye beam to stop him. His head doesn't explode, but he starts to bleed and get a headache. And then he tells all the other Marines to chill out, like, don't move. He sees Luffy, Nika. He was like, I'm going to kill you now. Oh, Kizaru also said he couldn't move. He was disappointed in Kizaru's ass because Luffy took him to the brink. Frankie ends up hitting Luffy out of the way and basically saving his captain. Bonnie is all messed up. Luffy's all messed up. Everybody's like, what's going on? Vegapunk's talking to Jay Garcia, like, come on, bro. Don't kill Bonnie. She's just a child. And Saturn, you killed my father. That's what Bonnie tells her. He's like, you're part of the Buccaneer race, the last survivor. And boom, we jump into the Kuma flashback, baby. We start to learn about Kuma, his race, how he became a slave for the Celestial Dragons, that whole nine. We learn about his father, his dad. We then learn that God Valley is this place in the West Blue that the Celestials got upset that they called it God Valley. Thus, they held a tournament there with the slaves and the members of the people where these Celestials would go and hunt down these captive people, and basically through that we see Kuma on the said island, and we meet Ivankov and some girl named Guinea, and that's pretty much how the chapter ends. Where do y'all want to begin, fellas? I'm assuming straight smack dab in the beginning.
Yeah.
Just I think so.
Yeah, just so
it's a pretty chronological chapter.
Sure. Whoever wants to start us off, go ahead.
So first off, let me express my concerns. Damn, Saturn's a problem.
Big time.
I didn't really think, Sanji would actually hurt Saturn or anything, but the fact that he did, the eye thing, because I'm not gonna call this hockey, I'm not gonna call it anything until we know what it is. So he did the little eye flash. But then he also has this weird ability where he's also like holding them down in a sense. Like his aura is like immobilizing them. And I don't know how that's happening. So
also the fact that he pulled the sword out in the blood, like, the blood disappeared. Like, this made me realize, like, okay, Luffy and then beat Kaido. Kaido's like the top of like the pecking order of power. So I'm thinking, all right, Yonko crew, they'll be able to take out the government, no doubt. Like, we see the Marines, what they're doing in their other fights. Like, oh, Luffy got this. He'll be able to hang. Now seeing these people, it's like, oh, there's another level of strength. Like, it's like, what the hell? But I will say, he respected the hell out of Luffy. He was like, oh, while he's down, I got to kill this dude fast because this guy's strong. So he respects, and he said Luffy's crew is strong.
Yeah.
So he respects.
Last chapter he also said Nika. So he's like, nope. Right. Word of liberation right here. Gonna just.
Yeah.
See, this is one of the things. This is one of the things where the TCB, and again, I guess we have to wait for the official. It's not like a huge thing, but I did read the OP scans one, and it said Jay Garcia said that the pirates, like, he said, oh, you have a pretty strong crew. But in the TCB version, he says, oh, so you're the type of pirates who stick together, which I feel like is interesting considering the fact that we got the introduction of God Valley. So I feel like that I feel like that translation is a little more cohesive.
Also, it plays into a theme that we didn't necessarily, I don't want to say pay off, I think it did, but one that dates back to Wano, which was betrayals, pirate alliances.
We haven't gotten that yet. Facts.
Well, because say what you want about Kaido and Big Mom or whatever, they didn't weren't in perfect sync because they've been out of the game from fighting together for so long, but they never actually betrayed each other. No, they let each other down, but they never betrayed each other.
Not at all. It was more so like Apu and like the worst generations, like betraying each other. Yeah. So, but I will say, to your point, Jazz, seeing Jay Garcia made me be like, holy shit. Like, Luffy's kind of fucked up. It gave me credence for my dragon theory. I'm gonna be saying that the entire time today. That's gonna end up being the weekly bet. But like, it's like, man, this guy is strong. And also on top of that, it's like, Dragon, you gotta come strike now. How many times is this guy gonna be on the field? Like, he even said it himself. Also, he looked the exact same to Versus' point about regeneration. So that makes me question how old he is. Like, the exact same in the flashback.
Yeah, so for that, and the fact that he is still scarred despite having this weird.
Yes, bro. It's like, what the fuck? It's like, so you got to have like either the strongest level of hockey, Conqueror's hockey, to probably hurt this guy.
This guy being able to have these weird powers that seem to almost be like illusion and like straight up actual magic is one of the things that like is, I think, a saving grace for why
if he has Toon Force.
Yes, but also use the term like debatable on Kaido having been in Awakened Zone. Because remember, we never really, because we saw him with the anklets, but we never saw him with the like black cloud thing.
Yeah, he never had the Rob Lucci clouds.
Now, granted, I think it was also because Kaido like plateaued so hard that he never had to reach for the next level.
I agree with you.
When would he ever fucking have to? Between him and his zone fruit, like he was already strong enough to handle anything.
I feel like to just add on to what you're saying, I feel like he didn't match the will of his fruit. Like, I feel like he didn't, because he plateaued so hard, I feel like him and his fruit became out of sync. And that's
I think if he would have lasted longer in the Luffy fight, he would have fucking popped up right there, as Awakened.
Which also, like,
Luffy's the first one who's pushed him since Odin.
Which also, like, I think the thing about the Seiryu dragon is that, like, it's supposed to be like a protector of some sorts. So it's like with Kaido's will of, like,
not
always wanting to like off himself, like, but then also being the oppressor of a country. Yeah. So it's like, he
might not have matched the will of his fruit. And I wouldn't be surprised if Momo awakens the dragon fruit at some point, and we'll see that version, because Momo is the true protector of Wano. But this isn't a Wano discussion. Like I said, we're chatty tonight. Back to this chapter. holy shit, man. Kizaru down, brother. And then the Gorosei hitting him with like, I'm not fucking with you, Keys.
I really didn't think Kizaru got hit that hard, but like I was telling Jazz right before we started, it's also probably been a long fucking while since Kizaru's actually even felt
Yeah.
actual,
like
not
got
fought, felt
hit.
damage.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
You know?
And then conquers hockey damage at that. If Luffy used it, you never know.
My man's brains was on the left side. I don't think that's ever happened to him before. I don't think he was prepared for that.
Yeah, because there are a lot of people who can fight really well or whatever, but it's like, when's the last time you really got punched in the fucking face?
True. Facts. And the fact that he can't move for a while, I like the draw. I like the draw between Luffy and the Admirals, and that just makes him stronger. But also, man, shout out to Frankie saving Jay Garcia and doing some science shit with his grapple hand. Love that.
Whoa.
Yeah, it reminds me kind of. It reminds me kind of like in Baldur's Gate, pretty good. Like, or I'll say D&D in general, where sometimes you do something that's like unexpected, or like even like on the surface level is costly, but it's to
save,
make a better play later.
Mhm.
Because like there are certain mechanics, like just a really quick thing. Barbarians in D&D have to either deal damage that turn, or they have to take damage, or they lose their big rage power. There are times if your barbarian cannot either inflict damage or has not taken any damage, if you want him to keep that up, it's totally fine for like one of your own players to like shoot him with like minimum damage or whatever to keep that shit rolling. And that's how I
kind of
felt
what
about
happened.
Strong Right being a punch and then into a grapple,
Also, the fact that the island is being blockaded right now, and Saturn's like, y'all's involvement, it caused some problems, but y'all ain't escaping here, partner. That's what I'm thinking. Incoming Akuma and Dragon, like it's Sabo. Yeah. Question, because this is real. Do we think if Dragon pops up, is Sabo with him? I don't think so. Like I think it's like
with
Eva.
him, I think if Sabo's with him, I think he immediately leaves to escort the Straw Hats with Vivi.
Okay, yeah. See that? I'm with
like
you.
a film,
I'm
like a
with you.
film,
a new generation type.
Because I don't think Sabo is messing with the Dragon Eva Kuma with Jace Garcia.
Because I feel like that's their thing. Sabo,
I'm with you.
Sabo has to help them escape. I'd be for that.
I'm with
we
you.
already
100%.
have Sabo being the new face of the Marines. I mean, the new face of the Revs. With people even saying Flame Emperor Sabo is like the new guy, because he's doing more. He's doing more like provocative shit than Dragon ever did in the eyes of the people. So I really think if Sabo does come with, which I wouldn't mind if he did, I think he leaves along with any of the other like new generation. I think this is the swan song for the old era for the revolutionaries.
Now let me ask you: if it's not the Revs, what like cross like is there? Because like seeing the barricade of this island and seeing Jay St. Garcia, it's like, bro.
Well, I don't really see a reason for the only pirate crew I could see a reason for showing up is Blackbeard, but I'm not saying Blackbeard's whole crew shows up because we know Van Auger has again, I don't know what is the like constraints of the warp fruit, but there could be a point here where like Van Auger warps Blackbeard here and Blackbeard actually like, say
maybe the ship's a conduit and like wherever the ship, like he has like the ship is like that's his touch points.
One of the things I've been thinking about because the Blackbeard pirates.
I was just gonna say that's like flying Raijin almost.
Like he. I didn't want to say he marked it, but you read my mind. Like that's exactly what I was saying. Like,
well, it doesn't have to be a mark so much as I can teleport anywhere I've already physically been.
Exactly.
Because
he can just tell it. Because he can't just
Mm-hmm.
teleport anywhere, like but
he's not Nightcrawler where if he sees it in his mind he goes there. I felt like it's like more of like like somewhere I've touched physically.
But one of the things I've been thinking of, right? So I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of people have not forgotten that the Blackbeard pirates are in the background, but Oda's trying to make all this grandiose stuff to be like, like you're gonna forget about the Blackbeard pirates. True. So Blackbeard has always been somebody to where he always gets the upper hand. He always gets what he wants, even if like the world isn't aware of him. Like nobody. I mean, look, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like when I was reading Marineford, I would have never expected Blackbeard to pull up.
Oh, me neither.
It's the same thing here, which like I do believe that they'll, everybody will get off the island safe and everything, but I feel like at that legitimate last moment, Blackbeard's gonna make that play. And hypothetically, if Dragon doesn't show up, Blackbeard gets something over here, and I feel like that's how they escape.
I think if Dragon shows up, I think no matter what, I'm with you. I think Blackbeard's getting something. But see, I was gonna say if Dragon doesn't show up, I'm leaning more towards what Verson said last week in his bet of it might be that robot that saves him, man.
Oh yeah. That's right. I forgot about the robot.
I will also say though, we have 2 infiltration specialists and debatably Van Argar for a 3rd. You can also do a very good infiltration. I don't necessarily know if Blackbeard necessarily has to show up for this. I forgot about the Cross Guild. I will say,
good time to capture some Marines. I'm not against it. Yeah.
Listen, they clearly don't have a mark for the Gorosei because why would anyone on God's screens Earth think that a Gorosei would come down? But they have straight up said, we will pay for an admiral.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they've said it. And we know that Teach needs money. So for all we know, maybe he's going to try and yoink Kizaru and we'll have that darkness versus light type thing. But Kizaru's already winded from dealing with Toon Force.
Possible. Like I was just trying to think of other ways, before we got to the meat and potatoes of this, of things that because of the blockade what could happen. But I guess we can dive into the blockade unless dive into the meat and potatoes of this. If y'all have anything that's Buccaneer, non-God Valley, non-Kuma shit.
Last thing. So when Bonnie, when Saturn is like, vice gripping, Bonnie,
mm-hmm.
He says human nature is to blame. Why must people always be tempted by that which has been explicitly forbidden? So that gives more credence to them being immortal, but it's also like, what? Have they always been at the top? Like, has this always been what it is? Because the way he's talking makes it seem like they've always been like the officials of the world.
I mean, at least since you could assume that, okay, pre-Void Century, back when the kingdom or the ancient kingdom was around, you could assume that they were kings of their respective islands. You know what I'm saying? Like, They've probably always been leader. If they're not some magical deities, like if they're actually like people who are just immortal at this point, then at some point you can assume that they were kings of their respective places. And like, that's why they've grown entitled over all of these years.
They might have either been the first people to eat devil fruits and therefore think that they're different, along with maybe Eam, or it's very possible that like they made a deal because anyone who knows anything about devils knows that they make deals and they stick to them, not by the letter of it, not by the spirit of it. This line could be a case of, and that's why we brought you guys devil fruits. We told you what would happen if you ate them, and you still fucking ate them. And now you're dreaming up new devil fruits like every few years or whatever that are constantly sprouting off of the god tree Eve or what have you.
Possible, very much so. But all right. Oh, you got anything before we jump into the meat and potatoes?
I want to say. I still want to say, despite kind of getting reversed, still big shout out to Bonnie. That shit was fucking dope. She had a lot of balls. She got in there. She did it. And also, not giving too much props, but props to Sanji and also Frankie for trying, and even Old Man Vegapunk for also trying to like do some shit. I don't know what this is. I don't think it's hockey. I think if this is yet a higher level of Conqueror's hockey, I'll actually find that very fucking annoying. Whatever this is, though, it's some potent ass shit. And I don't think there's any shame in anyone going down to it because this feels like some good old fashioned One Piece Paramecia style hacks ability. And that's exactly what a mythical zone is supposed to do. So, no shame for that. I think if there's a way that like this wears off or if we can't hold it for long, I think they'll still get some hits on him. I don't know how much good it's going to do. Because the other thing about the regeneration means that the Straw Hats are allowed to get hits in on him, maybe, but it just won't count.
Yeah, it won't matter. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm very interested to see, though, is this his devil fruit? I kind of hope it's his devil fruit, too, because, like, I never knew of Conqueror's hockey to hold people down. Like, I know it knocks people out. Like, and granted, it may be Conqueror's hockey because he is the ultimate conqueror, but I do think he subsides to Eam. So it's like, is he the ultimate conqueror? So, like, I don't know. But I am leaning towards, I do hope it is his devil fruit power.
Yeah. Well, for my thing is, if you're, like, we've rarely seen a half measure where Conqueror's hockey can disable you and hold you down, like some kind of spiritual pressure, but also not just knock you the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like, that's a weird step we don't usually see.
The only time I can think of this, and this to me is more so the problems of the beginning of pre-time skip, where it's like, you remember when Shanks walked on the Whitebeard ship and some of them couldn't move? And some of them were knocked out, some of them couldn't move. Like,
and also the fact that the boat was actually tracking.
Like, that's the only time in all, and even like later, he doesn't do shit like that. Like, that's the only time I can think of something like this happening, and I blame it on pre-time skip because Oda didn't have Haki like fully fleshed out in the sense.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like in that sense, like I don't want to make up excuses for Oda, but it's just kind of like I feel like he was still feeling out what he
For
wanted.
sure.
Yeah, he was growing into it.
For sure.
So he was probably
that's
like,
why I
guess
didn't even
can't
want to bring
it.
it up, but that's the only time I can think of.
Because I ain't gonna lie, if Conqueror's Haki was something that was able to affect physical surroundings, if you were just so strong, like Kaido just being in the presence of just some of those Wano cities would have just been destroyed.
Yeah.
Like he wouldn't even need to do anything.
Yeah, and I will say also Haki is at times like not the most consistent, as we know, because like Rayleigh flashed everyone out at the auction house whenever he got freed, and some people did fall, but then you also had people who, let's be honest, I wouldn't necessarily call them fodder, but like
Nami.
Sachi and fucking Penguin didn't.
Yeah, facts.
You know,
the shit,
like,
Hachi and Papagu.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I don't know how Papagu didn't fall, to be honest.
Papagu.
Like sometimes it feels like Conquerors is like it works on who people want it to work on, but I'm like, okay, Conquerors can't be selective. Like
I don't think it's selective either. But yeah, Papagu's bitch ass was standing up.
Because the other thing is like, like Rayleigh was like, oh, you guys managed to withstand that. So clearly he wasn't like meta magic. Not this one.
And because I just rewatched all of this, he told Luffy not to use his conquerors until he could control it, because if he couldn't, it would just knock out random people. So like, it's not like you control it turning on how much you're gonna put out, but I don't think you control who it goes to. You know what I'm saying? Like you control input.
It puts everyone into a tier list of, okay, you can handle 10%, you can handle 20.
It's volume. It's not it's like turning up the volume. It's not like pinpoint putting something it's not like a video game controller.
Yeah, if you want pinpoint, you have to actually hit a motherfucker.
Facts. No, I'm with you. All right. So we can go into the meat and potatoes now. Bro, the Buccaneer race, a whole new race. Like, shout out to Oda for that. Like, didn't expect Kuma to be tied into God Valley either. Talk about like really really pulling the wool over our eyes, because all of us thought God Valley was, maybe a place where they kept slaves, but we thought that this was Rocks going to steal something, Roger and Garp stopping them, big fight. We did not expect, Hunger Games on this island.
And I'm so ready for Kuma backstory. I've really liked Kuma for a very long time. I'm happy to hear about it. But yeah, we got to see a little bit of the Sorbet Kingdom. We got to see his parents or whatever. His dad being a big motherfucker.
His dad's huge, man.
Now, he does say, "Excuse me, Doc," and then he says, "His blood, right? Don't worry, I won't tell anyone." We've seen Kuma bleed.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, why has no one else ever commented on Kuma's blood until now? Have they did they suck all the did they suck all the blood out and replace it with normal blood?
I mean, maybe when he got turned into that cyborg, they took that shit out.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. But we've seen him bleed before that too. And like, even in the story, we can see Kuma's dad bloodied. And obviously it's black and white. But I don't think I don't know. I don't think he's going to end up having like green blood or white blood or whatever. But it is like a question. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of half in, half out, specifically on how it's going to matter how the blood's depicted. I would really like it if the Buccaneer race, because one of the things that they said, and granted, they've said before, Kuma has a weird body, it's built strong, it's built different, he's huge or whatever. We have other people in One Piece who we've all complained about and people make jokes about, who are literally, like, to us would be giants, but based on the very strict structure of
Whitebeard, Big
do
Mom,
not fit into giant. Yeah. So I'm like,
also Whitebeard kind of has the same like facial structure that like Kuma has. I was realizing in this chapter.
So it's like, do you guys have like, and I know a lot of people thought that Kuma was going to be a Seraphim because that was the most recent race to be introduced, and we didn't get that much of it. And also Kuma's a little darker. He doesn't have the wings, but you can also say, well, maybe that shit got ripped off at some point,
glad he's not Lunarian. Glad it shows like the ancient kingdom had a lot more races. It showed that there's a lot more people out there. And I'm assuming that there's going to be more races at this point. And then it's just the world government took them out over 400 years.
Yeah. So I'm kind of half and half out. I wouldn't mind a lot of these big giant human freaks we see having like Buccaneer blood, but also sometimes humans just get big in One Piece because I mean, Dolphy's huge, you know, not necessarily compared
Yeah.
to other people, but he's huge compared to a normal person. And
Yeah.
I mean, he's the celestial dragon, so the chance of him being inbred, anything that isn't super, super long time ago, is like very, very
And
small.
talk about Oda bringing in one of the saddest backstories with this Kuma shit. Seeing him become a slave, having to go through slavery, and then having his mom die, and then seeing his dad's tears and then his tears, and his mom dies. But then when you see him after when Kuma's dad's trying to cheer him up and tells him about Sun God Nika, he doesn't have an eye. They took out his eye.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's some crazy shit. It just makes me hate these celestial dragons more and more.
Yeah, if it's one thing Oda gonna do, he gonna make you legitimately, because like even though like they have like some good celestial dragons, it's maybe like 2 or 3, but like all the other hundreds of them are like actually terrible. And I can't wait till Mary Joa comes down.
And
like
really. And the fact that they just shot his dad point blank because he was singing and doing the Nika stuff, it's just like, man.
Yeah, you know, and I don't know, these fuckers are so weird about how they decide to do things. Like, clearly Kuma's dad is like ripped and like big and can do a lot of shit. He sings a little song and does a don do toto, don do toto. Next thing you know, you shoot him in the fucking head and he's just dead now. Like,
Yeah.
and he, you know, he's rare. He has like a special blood type. But ultimately it goes to show you that like they really don't have any sort of value system or whatever. And they don't even really care about like the quality of slaves. They just care about having them. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
if they have to enslave more 10 normal humans to make up for Kuma's dad being dead, you know, that's not me trying to like put anything on like a pedestal or whatever, but we have to keep in mind, like, because some people I think forget, especially now that we have the God Knights, who, you know, are a step above, and the Gorosei, who at least are somewhat competent. By and large, most of the time, whenever you're fucking Gorosei stock, or whenever you're like from, you know, their capital, you're just the dumbest, laziest, inbred
Piece of
motherfucker
shit.
alive.
Yeah. Facts.
Like the celestial dragons are just like, if you put southerners, but if you put them on like the highest pedestal in the world, like the closed-minded, like trailer park trash, like, you know what I'm saying, type of southerners, and then you just let them inbreed
And then
and
you
just like
Yeah,
you know
and
what
then
I'm
you
saying?
dressed them up like, they were in the High Court of France or something before the Revolution,
Hey,
and
but
you
real
just
shit.
kept them that way for 100 years.
And you know they ass not using bidets either.
This
Like
is
they
so
fake classy.
crazy though. The fact that the Celestial Dragons are having this fucking Hunger Games shit, and like the strongest of the strong are fighting. But I think it's very interesting that the only Gorosei that we see there is Jay Garcia Saturn, which like I hope he's the only one there, because that adds to the fact of if Eva and Dragon show up, because then it's like really Eva, Dragon, and Kuma, the people that were there when you did this fuck shit of God Valley.
I could see it working in a way because we know that Jay Garcia Saturn is a defense science division. So maybe he's the one who literally is in charge of like weird experiments like this. And therefore the other Gorosei aren't in that purview.
And honestly, he might, to your point, they might be experimenting on these humans with the fight, like to test, like, you know, weapons, test certain things. Damn.
Yeah, there might be something funky going on with that sword.
It looks very high tech. It does look a little more like, well, you know, something's happening in there. I'm very interested to see, you know, what Garland can do. Took that dude out in one stroke, and I think it's interesting that they were like, oh yeah, he already has you can't, oh yeah, you started before the buzzer, and basically you'll be docked 10,000 points. It's like, damn, they get points for kills, and he's like, oh yeah, that's not gonna phase me. So it's like, how strong is this fucker? But what brought Garp, Rox, and Roger here? That's what it's so many like what brought them to this situation?
If I had to take a good guess, because I've been seeing people say that like Rox went there to like, you know, free slaves from the celestial dragons, and that's a point. Like I don't doubt that, but like I also don't feel like Rox would gather so many people just to go after celestial dragons like this if they only have like a couple, like if they only have like a Gorosei member and like a God Knight there, because I feel like Rox's knowledge is probably going to be the same way like how Blackbeard has knowledge. So I would say that it was probably more of a thing to where he found out that like,
is there something
maybe
there?
Like maybe he would hit something big in one of these chests, because you also got to remember Big Mom found, I don't know if Big Mom had, I don't know if they specified that, but I don't think Big Mom had Kaido's devil fruit Yeah,
It
they
might have
found
been
it
there,
on God
yeah.
Valley.
And
So I
to
think
the
it's in
person's
one of these
point
chests.
about Jay
it seems like it
Garcia
was a
being
desperate
there,
thing.
there may be science shit there that what's his name could capture. Like Rocks may be trying to steal shit, and
Because you gotta think about it, he had Kaido, who's an Oni, Big Mom, who was, and like, I mean, at the time she wasn't like giant, but bigger than the normal person. Then Whitebeard, who's basically like a giant, right? So we know about Shiki and like Wang Ji and all those other ones, but like those are like the three big ones. But then you have Kuma, who's on this island, who's a buccaneer. So maybe, and I'm just throwing out random things. Maybe Rox was like going there to like gather like all races or something because he found out Joy Boy. Maybe he was trying to be like a false Joy Boy or something.
possible.
But then again, I'm just throwing things out there.
Yeah,
I'm just very interested to why they went, because this changes things.
Yeah, I will point out for those at home who aren't looking at it, but obviously I assume if you're listening to this, you've read or are currently looking at the chapter with us. God Valley itself is physically interesting. First of all, right there on the page, it says it was given it because this name because there's abundance of natural resources. That to me doesn't necessarily sound like gold or whatever, although maybe that's why it's cut through the middle, because they literally were just fucking
Mining.
cutting down the middle. But I don't know, to me it almost looks kind of like in Halo or in Mass Effect, like the Mass Effect relays or whatever, or like a big gun launcher where they have like the two barrels on the side and then like energy gathers in the middle.
Does.
Oh, like a railgun.
I would
Yeah.
I would say that this might be good for like mining Koroseki, except we have to remember whatever happens, and this might have been intentional on the part of like the good side. This island does get sunk, and I think if it was a natural thing for Kuroseki, it would be an literally unsingable island.
Also,
so
just to say this, like symbolism, the hands of it look like prayer hands.
Yeah, and I do think that like maybe they were there for some of the more natural resources and some of like not just the people there. I think there might be something in the physical location, and that's why it had to get brought down, and that's maybe why the World Nobles were still a bit salty about the whole thing. And the last point I want to make real quick,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say is we like the guy who Figureland cuts down is the guy who is supposed to be like
The king.
the king of God Valley or whatever. A lot of people when we were first hearing about Figureland, we were kind of wondering if like, oh, is he at God Valley, or what's his thing for being at God Valley?
Yeah, is he the king of God Valley?
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whenever it turns out it's more of like, no, he's the king of God Valley, like how the Don Quixote family are the true heirs to Dressrosa, which is the fact that after they ascended, they left and they put a stooge in charge, where because they didn't give a fuck about that land anymore.
Also, he's a God Knight at this time, which is very interesting too. He's not the leader of the God Knights. He's just a single
Knight.
Yeah, he's just a single one. Real quick, just because I saw this somewhere on TikTok and I thought it was interesting. Also I saw Dr. Voodoo posted, so I saw two people post about it. What if Eva knows that Crocodile's a slave, and that's why the mark was on his hand, and that's why he cut off his hand, and he has a hook? Like that's what Eva knows about him, like that he was a slave because Eva is a former slave.
I feel like that does open up that possibility. I'd like that. I'm still on the Crocodile is trans thing, because I think that'd be cool too, because Eva and the hormones and all that other stuff. But I mean, for Crocodile's character, especially with it being so important as it is now,
about materialism, and like him,
I could
he's
see
been
this happening again.
Very about money, very materialistic, like, and that's why he cut off his hand. His hand was where his slave mark was. Just saw a theory about that. I thought it was very interesting. Want to shout out the people that saw that. But yeah, man, great chapter. We're gonna find out more. Anything else y'all got on this chapter before we get to our bets and finish up?
It's so good. I love seeing Eva. Any chapter with Eva, I love, because like their aura is just A1. I wasn't expecting Eva to be a slave though, because like I knew that they had history, but I thought that Eva was just somebody that Kuma met.
But it makes sense,
the revolutionaries, though. But this makes his whole speech. Not speech, but like his whole like
down talking about how they're friends. Yeah,
and,
why he was
and in Marineford when he realized that Kuma was like lost himself. That makes it so that really gives a different perspective to it.
Yeah, I do want to point out a couple things. One, Crocodile is only a year younger than Kuma. Crocodile could
be a slave. Yeah, could exactly.
Like, because at first I want to be like, well, let me look at the ages and see if they're kind of relative. Because like sometimes you think people are peers, and then you look and it's like, oh, this guy's literally 15 years older.
That's why I thought it was a really good theory. And also think about it like this. That's why Crocodile really wasn't interacting with Kuma at the time. He was like, because he knew he lost his mind. Like that might have fucked with him.
Yeah, but
At
as for Eva,
Marineford.
as for Eva, I'm pro Eva always. Eva and Bon Clay right there. They're my people. I love the fact that Eva's here. I love the fact that even though Eva's probably constantly getting whipped, and beat the fuck up, Eva's still Eva, even as a little kid. And I do think that makes it powerful. I think it makes a lot more sense why those three are the three that they are when it comes to the Revs. I think it makes sense why Eva is so like bonded to Kuma and like is so fucked up about it. And not just that, but I also think it's one of those things where, like we were saying, it makes sense why Eva is, at least in my opinion, feels the most revolutionary of the revolutionaries. Kuma always felt like he was kind of in the middle. I will say some things are a little bit different now. I kind of thought Kuma was like a tyrant in part because he grew up into it. No, evidently Kuma's been like a slave since he was like 1 year old.
Yeah, didn't expect
So
that. The name the tyrant, like where did that come from? How did that happen?
I want to know how that worked out, because that is either a bit for the Revs or it is literally just straight government slander.
I think it could be both. I think it could possibly be both. It could possibly be, a bit that he ran for the Revs as a double agent, but also propaganda spun by the world government so his slave background doesn't get out.
Yeah, and but yeah, I think it makes even more sense why, because Dragon, I think, is kind of taking a lot of that where he tempers it. And obviously the Dragon isn't a revolutionary and that he doesn't give a fuck. But ever since he was back, he was like, look, I was in prison for this. I was in prison for a minute, and now I'm out, and fuck it all. Because I don't know if I'm gonna get imprisoned again. I don't know if I'm gonna die sometime soon. I'm going full bore all the way. We're gonna siege them out. If they starve, they starve. Fuck the Celestial Dragons. And I think that obviously it was already justified, but I think a lot of people, given how Eva is and the way that Eva functions, maybe didn't necessarily think that Eva had it like quote unquote that bad. And now it's like, oh no, Eva was right there along with Kuma being a slave, probably since, again, Eva in this panel cannot be more than like 6 or 7.
I was gonna say 10, but like, yeah, to your point, like her whole life,
kids
like,
in One Piece are also weird,
Yeah, no, for sure. But to your point, like their whole life, like for sure. So yeah, no, this shit's crazy, man.
Yeah, and then we have Ginny or Ginny or whichever
whoever the hell that meat girl is.
Yeah, which I find cute, and I think the stance is very like almost like water hose cartoon.
Also, could be Bonnie. Like people jumping to the Luffy conclusion. Don't forget, Bonnie was a meat eating girl when we met her.
Yeah,
she loves food.
Yeah, she can literally go like
toe to toe
snack plate
Luffy.
for. Yeah, she can go plate for plate with Luffy.
So not a lot of people that's why I kind of want her on the crew for like
Bonnie's,
a little bit. I need an eating contest between those two. Yeah, look, I'm between one of two things, and this is gonna sound fucked up to say, but
none of them are Luffy's mom, in my opinion.
she's either Bonnie's mom, or she is about to be sacrificed
and
not
killed.
Sacrificed. Like she's about to be like
yep.
like absolutely like
murdered
killed in the worst way possible to radicalize Eva and Kuma. Like it's gonna be bad.
And Dragon, if he's there, like this is like she's gonna be the martyr. She's the reason why.
Now hold on. Not even a bet. Do we think, hypothetically, because Garp was there on God Valley, do we think, because with the way Akainu talks about Dragon, do we think that Dragon was actually at God Valley, but he was there as a Marine?
But he's too young. That's what Verson was saying. He's too young to be a Marine. I think he was a kid and he saw this shit.
Wait, how old was Dragon? 30? Wait, Dragon's 55, right? Yeah. Something like that. So 38 years ago.
He's 8 years older than whatever Kuma is.
Oh, he's 17? He could be a Marine. I thought he was a kid. Oh, no. Because he's definitely a Marine.
Isn't Kobe like 16?
Yeah, he's definitely a Marine. 100%. 100%.
Not saying it's a definite, but like, I mean, he's at the age to where he can do this.
No. I'm willing to say it's like also, he saw this shit.
I'll say, don't play. Like, there's no way Garp was letting this kid enlist. Garp definitely thought he had more hands on. He probably had that boy, brought in at like 12 being generous.
And that's where he learned the difference with Luffy. He was trying to be less abrasive with Luffy because he thought maybe if I don't push it on him, he'll do it. Whereas with Dragon, he pushing it on him. Like, you're doing this, boy.
So if if Ginny fucking dies, Figureland's definitely just putting his whole fucking sword through her, right?
Probably so. Probably so. And I wouldn't be surprised if Dragon tries to save her and clashes with Figureland, and that's where he knows the God Knights are nothing to be trifled with.
Yeah, I think Figureland is at the very least the central reason why Garp is like fuck every social dragon
Yep.
ever. Fuck them. And I think I do kind of like the leading theory again of that being how Whitebeard ends up getting his scar. Because we do got to remember at some point Figureland and maybe a few other people, but definitely Figureland is going to jump up into that mix too.
How old is Akainu?
And I
because he could be here too.
Shouldn't he be like a little older? He shouldn't be. He should be a little older than Dragon, right?
Akainu's 55 too.
Oh,
yeah.
So they're the same
that's
age.
why we. Yeah, that's why we were thinking.
Yeah, he could be. Pierce. He could be here too. Like honestly, like I'm willing to bet that him and Dragon are here, and I'm even willing to bet he doesn't see what happens. Like Dragon sees it and is trying to tell him, and he's like, I didn't see. Like I don't believe you. Like that sort of shit.
It might be possible that Akainu is on the side where more of the pirates are doing more of the vicious shit, like the Rock Crew, and more of a
Dragon sees more of the oppression.
They could have and also sees more of the celestial dragons.
They could have they could have very much like a Hashirama and Madara type of situation where they see things, but they just see it from different
two different perspectives.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
They're the same age for a reason, and the first you got to remember. When Akainu sees Luffy, he calls him Dragon's kid, like straight up, and like he was the only Marine that really wasn't shocked at the announcement, besides Aokiji, but that's because Aokiji's Garp's like homie, like that's his guy.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, very good chapter. Obviously, I want to dive right into it next, but we have a break coming up.
Yeah. So we'll make some vids.
I think this does solidify. You know what? I was never really fully against it, but I always thought it was kind of questionable because I was more of a cross guild. But Kuma either in the robot or in his body fighting through programming the whole time. Eva and Dragon putting the final note on the old guard who started the revs against a fucking Gorosei member and debatably an admiral, along with Old Man Vegapunk, who now might be trying to make up for the fact that he didn't sign up with the revs. I think that'll be like the final note on that. So
it'll be beautiful. I don't see Dragon dying here though. At least I wouldn't want him to.
No, I don't know about dying, but I think either people will die or they're going to be forced to retire. You know how like kind of that is.
See, I'm with you for some. I need Dragon to make it to the end, at least till he meets Akainu again. At least.
Let's see.
But I'm not mad at the theory. Are you ready to do bets? You ready to place your bets? Put your money where your mouth is. Who wants to go first? You want to go first?
Sure. But one quick thing, I'm fine for the record. I'm fine with us staying in this flashback as long as Ed fucking wants us to. If he wants to.
Facts. This is God Valley here, man. We need to go all the way.
Because I feel like after the flashback, this is not Bet's thing or anything. I feel like after the flashback, like Egghead is pretty much in its final chapters. Like it's in its final like 5 to 6.
You gotta save Bonnie because she's about to die. Like Kuma, it's time, brother. It's like you gotta pop up now. Like
saying shoot for her head. And he's holding up her big head.
Like we're stalling right now for you, brother. Like, this is vamp sesh. Like you better make it while we're doing this long flashback. You're seeing the life before our eyes. But
and I guess we're seeing all this through Bonnie's perspective. Like first person, I guess we're seeing this all through Bonnie.
Yeah, through the memories that were implanted in her. You know what I'm saying? Like she's flashing back on her pops. Now I do think Verson's bet of last week, this being broadcasted to everybody, I think that's happening too. I think all that shit's happening. Like that's why this incident is so big. Like Agorosei's dying, this shit's getting flashed to everybody. But all right, let's get our bets. Verson, you know how this is, a wild out there bet, and then just something that you think will happen.
All right, my baby bet is that
the baby bet.
Because I'm looking at these 3 little fucking toddlers over here. Kind of boring. I don't think anybody who we are currently seeing right now has their dope fruit yet. I think that's not till later.
Okay.
Kuma definitely has his fruit. Kuma doesn't even have his little bear ears, which I guess now it is officially confirmed the bear ears come with the fruit.
With the power, yep.
And or it's a hat, but I'm pretty sure it's his ears. Eva doesn't have the injection shot yet, in part because I think if they were they'd be going more by like different pronouns and look a little different. Wild out there bet actually. I'm willing to bet Guinea actually does have a fruit or some sort of fucked power. There's a reason why we have these three sharing a spot. I'm willing to bet Guinea has some sort of weird fruit that we'll find out in the Scott Valley incident.
Okay, like your bets. All right, Jazz, what you got? Or do you want me to go?
Nah, okay, so my first crazy bet. Is that we see the beginning of what happens in God Valley, but because it's not being told from a perspective where we get the whole scope, we're seeing it from Guinea, Ivankov, and Kuma's perspective, right? And then I have a prediction that Guinea actually dies a horrible death at the middle point of the next chapter. Boom. We see Dragon and, well, not Dragon, but like we see Garp and the Roger Pirates pull up at that point. And my baby bet is that we get the significance of why the Buccaneers are or we either get the significance of the Buccaneers extinction, or we get the significance of like why they're so rare, I guess.
All right. All right. Like your bets. All right. My wild out there bet is that we see Dragon interacting with Figureland, and something happens where these kids are, out there, and Dragon oversteps his bound, or Garp oversteps his bounds and tries to save them, but then they say this will be no matter. I'm going to kill them anyway, and one of them dies, i.e. Guinea. I'm with Jazz on this, but I do think Garp Figureland interacts with Garp or Dragon. That's the main part of the bet, is that there's an interaction between them, and Dragon sees Guinea, Ivankov, and Kuma for the first time. My baby bet, my baby bet is I don't really have a baby bet this week. All right, no, I got one. My baby bet is that we see a Rocks pirate ship pulling up to God Valley. That's my baby. We just see the flag or some sort of ship pulling up to God Valley. Also, it could be a rock ship. It could be a Gold Roger. We just see a pirate ship pulling up.
That also kind of begs the point, like what? Not even a bet thing, but it's like that also kind of begs the point, like, do the Rocks pirates just show up first, and then like, because then the Marines had to like the Marines had to react to it, but it's like, how did Roger get involved in all this?
That's why I kept asking the whole thing. What was those three's reason for coming here? Because it changes everything. The fact that it's like this Hunger Games thing, what makes them want to go here? It's like, that's the most interesting question to me.
I do think it is Rocks pursuing the Gorosei. I don't know why Roger's pursuing Rocks unless to fight, or unless Roger's more of a hero than you think it is. Which listen, it's not that I don't think Roger's a hero, but to go out of your way to fight someone evil and also low key protect
someone evil, that's not Roger.
You know, it would be so funny to where Roger didn't even know anything was going on in the island. Like, we see more of his Luffy. Like we see more of his Luffy-esque personality.
Where he's just going to fight Rock.
And he sees the island that's split in half, and he's like, let's go over to that island. You know what I'm saying? Like, that could also be a possibility.
Really? Bring me over there, really.
That could also happen. No, that's a fact. All right, fellas, you got some final thing?
Sorry, one question that I want to ask you guys. It can be a simple yes or no. Now that we have a new race, we have to ask ourselves the almighty question. First of all, well, I guess the two questions. Is there going to be, you can even say Grand Fleet, is there going to be a Buccaneer race member that is going to join the Grand Fleet? I guess Bonnie would be half Buccaneer, but anyway. And the other question is Joy Boy a Buccaneer?
Oh, because of the hat.
Because it's a big fucking hat.
It is.
But Buccaneers seem to get real fucking big.
Alliance question, I'm going to say it's Bonnie, because I don't think there's any more. I'm going to say it's Bonnie, half. As an Alliance member, not coming on the Sunny, but in the Alliance and coming through to help Luffy, her boy. And then the other question is the Joy Boy Buccaneer, because it's a story passed down. I'm gonna say yes, because Kuma's dad knew the name, knew the heartbeat. Only if that person's your race would you know that much shit about him. Like, I'm going with yes to that one. Jazz, what you got?
Okay, so I'd say yes to the Buccaneer on the Alliance because Luffy has to unite the world. I'm gonna say for now, I'm gonna say no on the Buccaneer thing for Nika being a Buccaneer because I'm still of the idea that Nika was probably like somewhat half Lunarian because you have the red eyes and stuff like that. But then you also have like the spear that King had when he was a kid. So I feel like that also kind of relates into like Lunarian culture. Also the fact that like Sulongs get red eyes and white hair in the moon, and like Luffy gets the same thing when he goes into Gear 5. But I'm not opposed to it. Now I believe that a Buccaneer was on Joy Boy's crew.
Yeah.
Like I believe that. But I'm not I don't know if I subscribe to that idea right now, but it's interesting. I'm fucking with it.
By the way, Oda, you're a coward. We all knew Kuma was big, but the fact that he's like literally a different race, or at least half of a different race, he has enough blood to where it matters. My point that I'm just trying to make is Bonnie is half Kuma, therefore she's at least half of a half of fucking Buccaneer race. She could have been a very big, tall woman, and Oda decided to make her basically literally Nami height. The cowardice knows no bound, but I guess we'll just have to suffer. It's fine.
Those Punnett squares. Those Punnets.
She's probably a kid
Yeah.
anyway. So
those Punnett squares fucked up Bonnie. I guess she got like all the recessive genes.
No, she's probably a kid. That's probably what it is.
Of God.
All right, fellas, that's everything for this week. First, and tell the people where they can follow you on social media.
Hey y'all, you can follow me at Verse the Vassal on either Instagram or on Twitter. I guess also Snapchat, I think. But anyway. Yeah, so you can follow me there, or you can find me at my government name, which is Joshua Tosclair. Nothing too big is happening right now. I'm mostly going to places. I'm not really doing a lot at places. Although I will theoretically, if it gets funded, I'm going to have a small meeting at the Vinton Library over in Vinton, Louisiana, to talk about some pipelines that are going through there and how we can stop them. Or if you want, we can also get lawyers on tap. That way they can tell you the fair market price for selling your land for these pipes. Because I've heard cases where people have sold like an acre of land and got like $200 for them. We're not going to let you get done like that. We're going to make sure you get your millions that you deserve.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, y'all make sure y'all go follow Verson. Jazz, tell people they can follow you on social media.
You can follow me on Instagram, Jazzy Boy. You can follow me on Twitter, Real Jazzy Boy. You can follow me on TikTok, Cornell D God.
Y'all make sure y'all go follow Jazz as well. You follow me at LinBLT, follow Bros Who Think at Bros Who Think. We got a lot of content out, so make sure you follow us at Bros Who Think. But until next time, y'all have a good one. For Jazz for Verson, I'm Lennon, and peace.
Bye.